Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama.
And I knew Hare Krishna from in my country. I knew them. I knew they are crazy. Thought that I will never join a cult. Like, how come me individually thinking before, questioning things where people were telling me something and not taking it at its false value, how I ended up there? I could not understand how it's possible that someone will do it, and then I did it.
Karma's a bitch.
Queen of Karma.
Dagmar Zakova is from the Czech Republic. Like myself, she is on the autism spectrum. And like many of us on the spectrum, she was searching for community, spirituality, and purpose when she was manipulated into joining the Hare Krishna movement. I had the honor of sitting down with her for a couple of hours to hear her story, and she's agreed to share it with all of you today. For those who aren't familiar, the Hare Krishna movement, formerly known as ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was founded in the 1960s and is rooted in the Hindu tradition of Bhakti Yoga, or devotion to Krishna. Followers chant the Hare Krishna mantra. They live by strict ethical and dietary rules and dedicate their lives to serving Krishna as the supreme deity. But alongside its spiritual teachings, the movement has been surrounded by controversy, allegations of manipulation, financial exploitation, child abuse within its schools and elsewhere, and the way it isolates members from outside life. This interview isn't just the story of someone joining a spiritual movement and discovering it was a cult, nor is it only an incredible survival story. It's about how people on the autism spectrum are often targeted by these groups, drawn in by the promise of belonging, yet never fully accepted. It's about how cults prey on people's good nature, and how even within a so-called community, being on the spectrum can still leave you feeling like an outsider. It's about the unique struggles of recovery when you're neurodivergent, but most importantly, it's about resilience. Dagmar's story shows that even from the deepest depths of a cult, it is possible to crawl out, reclaim your life, and share your truth. Our conversation actually began with Dagmar telling me that she never thought she would join a cult. In fact, she believed she was the exact opposite type of person who would ever fall for one, something you've heard me say about myself in the past. And here's something especially important. Women on the autism spectrum often see ourselves as analytical, skeptical, and resistant to groupthink. We pride ourselves on noticing patterns, questioning authority, and not being easily swayed by social pressure. That's exactly why so many of us believe we'd never be the type to join a cult. But that same deep search for meaning, belonging, and authenticity, the very qualities that make us strong, can also make us vulnerable when someone offers what looks like a ready-made community and purpose. So Dagmar may not have thought she would join a cult, but with a laugh, she admits the irony. She did just that. She joined Hare Krishna.
I could not understand how it's possible that someone will do it, and then I did it. But it was like very interesting how the whole thing happened. I could not come up, if I wouldn't live with it, I would not imagine that it can happen, but it did. And it was hard realization when person understand that he joined something quite crazy. Yeah.
What was going on? What kind of brought you to Hare Krishna?
Well, like in my case, like no one like from outside brought me in, or I always had like the mindset I need to try things on my own and develop my own opinion. And even if you tell me millions of stuff, I would be like first questioning them for myself. So, but I was really like spiritual since childhood. My grandfather, he was Christian, and my mom, she even get me baptized but I didn't know. I knew very much later in life that she did that to me. But I have like a lot of kind of like outside world experiences since I'm a kid. I don't know if it's also because I'm autistic. I have no idea, but I had a lot of like, I strongly believe in reincarnation because I had dreams, like crazy dreams when I was a kid, like 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, that I could not, I didn't have idea how they are happening because I would not see anywhere around me those images that I had in a dream. And I also in one dream thought that I'm speaking to God. So and he explained to me in the dream that I cannot die in the dream, and why is that? It was crazy. So I was always like, there is something there. I was believing in reincarnation, I was believing in karma, and what comes around goes around. I really believe that. And I also liked philosophy, so I had a lot of people around me speaking about philosophy, God, my grandfather and stuff. But it was always something about the talks with other people that never like gave me satisfying answers. So I was like, yeah, like I had a lot of people around me, but I was like, I don't know, it's just too much to believe that God is a person. I thought more like he's just kind of like energy. I was always imagining like kind of energy. And then I don't know when it happened exactly, but I start meditating on my own, and like, because I just needed to calm down, because I had very hard depression when I was growing up because I was different always. I guess you know that
Yep, no,
also.
I relate.
Yeah. So I was like, let me just sit, let's go to nature. So I was connecting to nature, I was connecting to myself, and I was studying. I'm obsessed with studying things. I was studying breathing techniques and yoga techniques and like meditation, like little bit, and then I was like consuming information, and I tried to just practicing on my own. So I don't know how long, for ages I was doing meditation. And somehow I'm like, I've learned information about Buddhism, that something in India and like the Eastern um, religion exists. And I always thought, yeah, if I'm supposed to like lean towards something, it would be more that, like the energy, that you can experience it through the body. So that's why I was like strongly like Eastern philosophy and practices. And that's why like all the Christianity, even though my grandfather, he brought me to churches all the time, and I love the buildings. I'm architect, I really appreciated architecture, and there was something, but it was always like weird explanations to me, like didn't speak to me, didn't speak to my soul. So I was doing this. Well, and then when I was 19 and I had my like very like big crisis in my life, I went through something horrible in a relationship, and I was in like suicidal mood. I started like questioning everything, and one friend, he gave me some books, and it was about energy, about spirituality, about a divinity, about how we can connect something transcendental. And I was like, okay, like, I have nothing to lose, like I already feeling like I want to die, so I was like, maybe there is some calling. And at the same time, I was studying architecture, and I also moved outside of my home. I was alone. So I was like so lonely in my life that I just leaned towards spirituality. I felt like it's just, I don't know. I don't want to say I escaped from my feelings of being hurt and traumatized by my life, but it just gave me some hope, like that there can be something, and I can, and I will have some purpose in life, because I was always questioning what's my purpose here, because I was like, I had amazing grades, and I was like achieving a lot of things in life, and now I was on architect school, and like all these things, like superficial, but I never felt satisfied inside. And then so slowly from 19, I started going deeper and deeper into like my own spiritual practice with the meditation, and I become also yoga teacher at some point. So that itself already like put a lot of roots why I end up like in this particular institution, I guess. And the breaking point happened when I left, after I graduated and I already worked for many years. I was burned out. I was like, I just still didn't find the purpose. I want to go and like leave everything behind and just travel. So I just packed my bag. I left to Scotland. I was there for a few months and I was just questioning everything. And I had a friend there when we were living together in the apartment. She was Indian girl, and we were speaking about astrology all the time, yoga, meditation, Vastu, which is also like architectural system, Vastu. Like you have Feng Shui, Vastu is the same system. It's based on energy, how you create a home and stuff. And then out of nowhere, she starts speaking about like Bhagavad Gita, like this ancient like religion, and that part of it is the karma and reincarnation. I was like, oh, really? Because I believe in that because I have my own experiences in this life about it. And so I went, and again, my obsession, like I started researching Bhagavad Gita, and I came across on YouTube this person that he was practicing something. He was not clear what is it, but he was speaking about Bhagavad Gita, and he was not Czech person. He was Slovakia, because I'm from Czech Republic, but the language is almost the same. So I understood everything that he was saying, and it felt very like, I don't know, he gave me the answers that I needed, like I was intrigued by the explanations. So I went very much like deep. Yeah, I want to really study it. And it was also because there is the feeling that through the practice, because there is system that you can, deep dive into, and through the practice, you will connect to divinity. So I was thinking, okay, like I can do it. Like if I can meditate and I have interesting experiences, I can.
You have been doing that and looking into karma. It sounds like you're interested in everything that they talked about, basically.
Exactly. And but until then, maybe I could cross something else, but because I don't know, it just happened. Sometimes happens. People start speaking about certain books, and I knew Bible, and it didn't attract me, and Bhagavad Gita, it attracted me. It was like, they claim it's very ancient text, which is true. It's like 5,000 years ago, right? But 5,000 years ago, there was no mentioning of like kind of like Krishna. Before it just happened that he's the representation of God. I didn't know, and I didn't care. Honestly, at that point, I was like, man, I just want to read the book, and I want to see what is it about. So I get the book. I start reading it, and honestly, I don't know if I thought something at first. I was just like, they're not difficult. It's easy to read, but it was just like very, and all the Sanskrit words there. And I was like, not really into Sanskrit. And then all these verses. And so I was listening more this guy online. And then I was coming back to the book. I was reading it during the evening. And it was 1 year before COVID, 2019. That was the first time I got introduced into Bhagavad Gita. 2020, I developed my own practice at home. And
was COVID a factor in you doing that, you think? Like,
exactly. Yeah, I start, it's very intriguing. Like, for example, there is written, like all these things, like there is mentioned, like if we want to take particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label, right? And it's like, okay, logic is there. So and it seems there is logic to it, like, okay, if you want to understand God, you have to surrender. And you are like, I was not good at surrendering. I was like, surrender, like to what, but you have it there on every page, like it's like a mantra: surrender unto me, surrender, and why it's important. And because Prabhupada, he really had written it in a language that, I don't know, like he's very direct. He's very like sometimes mean about it. Like, if you don't do it, you are wasting your life. And back then I was like, I don't want to waste my life. It's like, I want to follow it. I want to like, I don't want to do like what other people are doing. And also at that time I was celibate. I was not having relationship for many years. I was not drinking, I was not gambling, I was vegan, And so all of those things, like I was like perfect candidate that
Like the morals and values all seem to line up and everything.
exactly,
Eh?
it seems that it's there, right?
Mhm.
It seems. That's so funny. It seems because it's not all like that. It seems.
Mhm.
And so I start practicing it. I during my meditation, I start a little bit of chanting. And honestly, it was also like interesting because I could not chant it like the mantra out loud because my neck would hurt. So I could only whisper. And it felt like kind of like mystical. I was like, why is that? And then during my meditation, I also have like very interesting symptoms, like very like I could not comprehend what's going on, and I felt like it must work. Like I guess
Like
the
the
mantra.
euphoric feeling, the
You find
dopamine hit, all of that,
yeah,
right?
but the thing is, now I see it, and it's like the euphoric feelings is because we put our intention to it, and of course the breathing techniques it works, and it can work with any mantra, honestly, because before I was chanting Om mantra,
Yeah.
so it worked with that mantra also. So like anyway, but I went like, oh my god, it works, and especially
Yeah.
when you're reading it, it's like the biggest mantra, it's mantra of all mantra, and you're like, okay, so this is and my autistic brain, it's like it's written, it must be true, and the person who's writing it must be honest, right? Because that's how you think, like people are honest. Why would someone lie about it? It's like I would not think like that.
Yeah.
So I went deeper and deeper. And then when you read it, the book says a lot about when you want to practice bhakti yoga. Bhakti, you have to do it for the other people, right? For the other devotee, and you have to find a guru. And I was like, okay, like where you can find a guru? Like I'm in the, middle of Europe, like where you want to find a guru? And this question was always there, like, and there is like you have to serve other devotees, and it's written in a language that if you want to do spiritual progress in your life, you have to serve other people. And of course, I really loved, my job was also very servitude. Like
Well,
my
your upbringing too. If you grew up in a Christian faith, it
yeah,
is also very much about servitude,
exactly.
right? Like it's all kind of the same in that regard.
Mm, exactly. So you don't want to be, you want to really fulfill the servitude. So
Yeah.
I started like that. And I was like, okay, so where I can meet people that are devotees. And I knew Hare Krishna from in my country. I knew them. I knew they are crazy
Okay.
because I had my encounters with them when I was like 5 years younger. From that point, back then I was 27, something like that. So around
Okay.
my 22, 23, I have my experiences with them, and they were not positive. And
No.
then I was reading this book. Yeah, I was meeting them on my way to work. One guy, he approached me on the street. He wanted to give me a books, and I had a lot of questions back then. And
The
then he's
books,
like,
yeah.
okay, so the book is for you. I was like, yeah, thanks. I put it in my bag, and then he starts like, no, you have to pay. I'm like, what do you mean? You just literally told me it's for me, and like like it's yeah, I just can't take it. And he was like, no, but like someone has to print the book. And I'm like, yeah, but I you said nothing about buying it. You said you are giving it. And then he was starting to be violent. I gave him the book, and every day I would meet him on the way on my work, and he was screaming at me, "You are
Oh
a
no.
bitch! You are a whore!" Like it was insane. It was crazy.
That's
So
too much.
yeah. And but later when I joined after, I realized this guy in particular, he was sick. He had like schizophrenia or something, and they just sent him on the street. So it was like
That's a
isolated.
very good idea, obviously.
And back then it really, I'm an idiot. Like sometimes it takes me a long time to connect everything. So I was reading this book, and then I went to the website because there was a little like business card or something. I was like, no way, this is Hare Krishna, because I was studying it now for 1 year, and it didn't click in my head that this is Hare Krishna community. This is Hare Krishna cult, or like just like ISKCON cult, and because they are
ISKCON, yeah.
presenting themselves that they are not, But
I've
heard,
even had some people be like, I didn't realize that ISKCON is
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's the
exactly.
same thing.
And I don't know, it's just, it's so well presented, and I know now because we do the same thing. Oh no, I'm not doing it, but there is in France, in Tours, there is Gopal restaurant, and they have this program called 108, the like group, and
Mhm.
they are doing this bridge preaching, yoga preaching. You are literally sitting there, and you would have never realized that it is Hare Krishna ever. Like,
Right.
it's insane. The gaslighting is such insane thing, So I was thinking, I was like, man, so I will go to see Hare Krishnas. Like, I was really like, so, but because the book must be real. It's like reading a Bible, right? Like, I don't know what happened back then. Like, if I really got like so brainwashed of reading the book and listening every week of the lectures.
Probably a bit of that. And then also you're thinking, well, I don't want to judge them just based on this experience I had with this crazy guy on the street. That's not fair of me. I want to be fair, and I want to, so probably a little bit of that too. And
exactly. So anyway, so I was like dedicated. COVID started, and it was difficult. I was just watching online the programs, and I was thinking, okay, one day
there's lots of them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
And I was thinking, but they had every weekend, they had the meetings, even though it was COVID. They had the meetings every Sunday, and because it's religion group, like, oh, whatever virus, God protects me. Like, and honestly, I was also kind of like not skeptical of the virus. I had COVID myself, but I was like, I'm not afraid. If I'm supposed to die, I will die anyway. Like, that's my approach to life. Like, you go to the street, and somebody just can kill you or hit you by car, So I don't want to be overwhelmed by the thing. But I didn't know that they just have the meetings. So, and at that time in Czech Republic, it was not so horrible, like so strict, the restrictions. We didn't have like quarantine or like some things, like you would have to stay at home. The only thing we had that you couldn't go to other cities. You would have to have permission. But inside of the city, you could just move. That was allowed. And back then, because I was not satisfied at my work, and I was like kind of lightly depressed again, also like disappointed from my life and the purpose that I'm doing. And so I wanted to spend time in nature with some projects. I wanted to use my architecture skills for something good. Like, I was thinking, oh, I should go to Africa to build houses, or like, I don't know. I was thinking like this. And we already were doing with my friend a community project. Yeah. So I was thinking, I really want to help people. And I was not working for money. So that's also kind of like perfect combination of this. And Krishna, they need help, right? And they have this farm project, and I'm so attracted to farming and farm project in general. So basically the first thing that I did, I went to the farm, right?
And a lot of people find it grounding, and it kind of goes with
and it was like my values. It just spoke to me because it was what I already was living. I was already living kind of like monk, no drinking, no sexing, no nothing. And I was just like, now I guess I can renounce, basically, in my head. Like, I just can renounce, my values were like, I don't believe, I don't own nothing. Everything belongs to God, right? So I was like, I can just join maybe something. So I went there, and I was a lot for them, honestly, because I went there. I already read this book, the Bhagavad Gita. I read it for 4 times already back then. It's funny because also my philosophy, I was listening one guy, he's Czech, his name is Peter, and I don't know his name right now, but he has this philosophy that it's better not to consume too much, but read one book and study it. So, and I was studying everything all my life. I was architect, I was always in the book. So I was like, I want to study it. I want to like take it to my core, because it's better to know something very good than just a lot of things superficially. And that
Yep.
was my philosophy. Now I don't care about this stuff, but back then it was like I was quite like I was taking everything literal. Like really, I could not relax. I had my daily routine. I have always a plan. The autistic brain is like that. It's like hyper focus. When you know your routine, you follow your routine no matter what, right? And so I read it many times, and I went there and I was like, so I'm here, okay, Sunday program, let's do it. And then people were like, so what's bringing you? I'm like, well, it's written in the book, so I came, right? And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I read it 4 times. I just thought that it's there, so I should come now. And they were like mind blown, like what the heck? Like no one is doing it. Why you don't read other books, right? So
Yeah.
then I started reading other books, and it was nice. It was they seemed to be nice, and all my life just brought me there because they were in my city, and
Yep.
in other, like, there is not many Vaishnavism or Hinduism temples or practices in my city. There are different things, but something close to what I was intrigued, and curious by it was not there. So I went to this group, and I was open-minded, and I thought that maybe something will happen. And you cannot believe things happened. Like I had few times, like are you familiar with the gurus little bit in ISKCON, or if I say
Some of
something?
them, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them I am.
So there is this particular guru. He passed away. His name was Kadambakanana Maharaj. And after 4 months, me visiting the temple and the programs, and I was going deeper in the philosophy. I was started learning everything by heart, the songs and morning program, evening program, whatever. I know.
Yep.
I'm the. You give me books, I study it. That's it. It's just not a problem for me. And he came, and when he was singing, I cried. I was like, I just sit, am listening this guy, and he was like a saint. I don't know. It was like very, very like weird feeling. I feel like something inside. And it's funny, he was engineer like me. And so I have trust with people that are engineer. And the guy online that I was listening, he was architect. So I was thinking, intelligent people, they are joining this movement. And in the book, you have it written. There are 4 groups of people: the one that are searching for the absolute truth, the one that are suffering, the one that they want some material stuff, and the one that are just intrigued. And I was basically four of those. And
Yeah.
when I was reading the book, it was so convincing, because it was just giving me, it was filling gaps in my mind, basically. Maybe it would happen with every other book, but this came to my life, and it was there. I was like, wow, revelation. So that's the beginning. That's like beginning of like the Hare Krishna journey.
Experience.
Yeah.
I guess we could call it, right?
But it made sense. Like in my head, it just, when I look at it now, like everything was perfectly timed that it would happen. And if it wouldn't happen with them, I believe it would happen with something else, for sure.
So after you got there and you started to kind of be in Hare Krishna, what are some of the things that you noticed that made you kind of go, what's going on over here? What am I a part of?
When I came, I just was like, I want to dedicate my life, because I was like, yeah, I just want to deep dive into philosophy. But I was for 1 year, I was more outside, and because at 2021, that was on April, I joined.
Mm-hmm.
I became like, in their eyes, I was not serious member, but I was already practicing it for 1 year before I came. And they always tell you, like, your journey begins when you come, but I don't believe that's true.
And so they were like, you're not a serious member for the first year?
Exactly.
So was it kind of like you had to work your way up to being one?
Yes, you have to prove yourself. And honestly, I was like, okay, I will prove myself, because that's what I do all my life. I had mother that I had to prove myself to, and I had school and work. I have to prove myself. So and check mentality, especially, also you work hard for things. So you don't get things for free, or so I wanted to prove myself. But I had a lot of doubts, like from the get-go. I believe that you don't have to practice and all the external stuff they wanted you to practice, like wearing tilak, wearing kantimala, wearing sari, all those external stuff. I was like, no, I don't want to do those things. I was not yet completely manipulated or like gaslighted at the same time into thinking that you have to do those things. I was like, no, I like Bhagavad Gita. And you know what also is funny? ISKCON, it's not Hare Krishna, like just like some Vaishnavism. It's very specific branch. It's Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And that's completely something else. You are worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but you don't know it. I didn't realize this for many years. Like, it's insane, because I just thought we're reading philosophy, we're reading Bhagavad Gita, and I was thinking, so everyone else has to be like me, right? Like everyone just like very thoughtful and non-judgmental. And I was just like, if you read the book and you have all religion about it, I was just thinking, everyone will be nice. No, it's not that case. Like, it's like, no, it's just, and I was dead naive. Like when you meet your first laugh, and he's amazing, and then he beats you, and you are still thinking he's amazing, and it really like takes you a few years to realize that he's not that. That happens. Like, I don't know if that happens to everybody, maybe not, but it happens to me.
It happens to everybody in a cult.
Yeah.
It's funny because the cult experience and even the control, it doesn't matter what cult it is or where it's from or what the belief system is. The manipulation and a lot of the experiences are very universal.
They are, really. It also helped me to listen to some like ex-Mormons, like or something. I was like, man, if you just put instead of the guy like Prabhupada, it's the same thing. Like literally, I was like, wow, I didn't know, But I was careful. I was researching Hare Krishna like in Czech language first. I somehow didn't thought that back then I didn't think that I will search it in English, but I did it in Czech, and there was not that. Actually, there is not much things in Czech language against Hare Krishna, because we are sweet people, right? We just give books, we give very nice food, and we are happy. And that's really good image. Like it's so mastered. I don't know. It's really mastered, and behind it is so much suffering. Like the aspect of being surrendered, it's very important. If you are not surrendered, you cannot practice bhakti. It's literally in the first pages of Bhagavad Gita, any other book. Like they always say, like Srimad Bhagavatam is advanced bhakti, because Bhagavad Gita is for beginners. Srimad Bhagavatam, that's the real thing. And Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the real thing, because it goes into really the Bengali philosophy, into Bengali Indian culture, into who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and like why we worship it the way how we do. And I remember that you are confused a lot of the times, but you are not allowed. The culture is like, if you are having questions, you don't have faith. So you don't want to look like you don't have faith, right? Or you are, and this is maybe the most tricky, you have something like 3 stages of advancement. You are beginner, the Kanishta, then you are intermediate, which is Madhyama, and then you are the pure devotee. And so basically, if you are having guru and he's pure devotee and he's saying something, there's words of God, right? You have it everywhere. You have some saint, priest, whatever, words of God. So you are not allowed to question things, because if you do, you just like you are making offenses, and you don't want to make offenses, because if you do, you are probably reborn again, and before that you have to go to hell, and like who wants to go to hell, right? So you have all this system behind that you learn step by step, little by little. And they always say, like, don't say to beginner everything. They have to do it step by step, and you will reveal the information when they are ready. because you are more brainwashed. Of course, you will reveal it when you are more ready. It's
Right.
like, and in my sense, I really, really wanted to belong because I never belong anywhere. And that's part of the autism. I think that's like universal. Like, we don't fit anywhere. You have a lot of questions, you speak a lot, you are intense. I start hearing about myself like I'm too intense, I'm too loud, I'm this and this. And if you want to be humble, you have to change yourself. So I started to be like, okay, there is something wrong with me, I have to change myself little by little, be humble than a tree on the grass. That's the mantra of this
Yeah.
people. And you literally damage your brain with this type of thinking, because you develop something like the very low self-worth,
Yeah.
and
Your self-worth becomes about the cult and just all about advancing. So it's almost like you are losing your sense of self and
yeah,
replacing it with the beliefs of the cult, right?
yeah, yeah. You are basically you lose your personality, you actually replace it with the cult,
Mm-hmm.
and you lose your identity. And what is most funny about this, that we are supposed to be the most personal, I mean, they are supposed to be the most personal religion, right? Because we are fighting against impersonalism. But what happens, that you become impersonalist at the end of it. You are not personal anymore. And I remember, when I was chanting at the beginning, I had very nice connection. Like, when I was meditating, chanting, I always felt blissful. When I started doing it more seriously according to other people, I lost the connection more. And of course, the explanation is, you are making offenses. You are making offenses, and that's why.
It's your
And
fault.
you know what offenses you're making, right? Like, because it's so, and so you, for me, that was core of my practice. Meditation was something so like foundation for my spiritual life. After leaving, I don't do it anymore. And I felt I lost, like, when I left, I felt like lost everything, because that was
Yeah.
my identity for many years. Apart from ISKCON, I needed to connect to something, and I cannot do it anymore, because every time I sit, there is all those toxic things related to the name or to the meditation, that I go into, panic attack. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not comforting anymore, right? And yeah, so slowly,
So it's like you lost your whole spirituality, not
yeah,
just this part of it, not just leaving this cult. It felt like you were leaving a lot of your spirituality
yeah,
behind with it.
I left myself, right? Because I came as somebody who was like kind of like living spirit, like monk life, if you say, like I just but it was, for all those things, that why I practice them, because it was always based on some logic, research, scientific knowledge. It was based on that, and then plus my personal experience, because I was always like, if it's not working, I will not do it, but it was working. And
Mm.
when I was there, like, I had so many questions. Like, there is this book, Nectar of Instructions, and there are so many instructions about how we are supposed to treat each other. And
Okay.
I was thinking the whole time, why we don't treat each other like this? Like, where you are supposed to treat the people, if you are not treating others, devotees, here, the way how it's written in your shastra, in your book. And it
Yeah.
was so confusing, and you could not, you didn't even know who to speak about it, because it's rotten the whole system, and more on top you go, it's like you realizing, oh, so it's coming from Prabhupada, but it's not coming from Prabhupada. It's coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There was the split. It's coming from him, and that realization of how the toxic culture like was invented. It's coming from 500 years ago. And and it's mastered into thinking, you are practicing something that's ancient and amazing. But Gaudiya
Right.
Vaishnavism, it's a thing for 500 years, and there is also not enough evidence for it. You are you are always taught you are not allowed to read any books than only what Prabhupada is written, and if you are questioning Prabhupada, you are going against God, because he's representing God. But then, it's funny, in Czech Republic, you almost never speak about nothing related much to Prabhupada. When it's his birthday or like appearance day and disappearance day, you
Yeah.
are reminding what he did in the ISKCON. But you are not speaking about nothing controversial. And if you try to do it, you are making offenses. Because, in the book it's written, if pure devotee or the guru, he can do stuff, he can do even mistakes, he can do something bad. But because he's pure, it's not bad actually, right? And you have all this philosophy to back it up. So you just make excuses for the person. When I start reading more, and that was in France, when I had my first horrible experience in Czech, how more happened, because I went through everything. I gave them my apartment for preaching center.
Oh
I
man.
I gave them a lot of money. I was starting using my architecture skills for everything they needed. Nothing paid, obviously. And when I left to France, they were using my car, even though I told them not to do it. I didn't want anybody, and they were just sharing it like it's everyone's property. But I strongly believe also in karma. So at some point they broke the car and they have to repair it. And I was thinking like, yeah, universe knows how to punish you. And then at that time when I was doing it, when I was preparing myself to join the ashram, everybody is telling you it's amazing, you have to go through it so you are more elevated, and it's the purest way how you can practice. And me in my head, okay, now they're saying it, I guess it's true. You go there, and literally the first day I went there, I was like, there is the thing called Maya, that the material universe, it's like under control of Maya. So she's
Yep.
creating the illusion, you are drawing yourself in the ocean of materialism and whatever. And I felt like that when I joined the temple there. I was there and I was like, man, I feel like I did the biggest mistake in my life. And I had nobody to talk to about it, because I felt ashamed. I was like, I don't even know how to start speaking about it with my family, that I made a bad decision. I did not have anybody there on the property to speak about any of my thoughts. And I started seeing the most crazy stuff that are actually against the books, against what is written in the books. Temple president flirting with the girls. He's brahmachari for 20 years, but somehow he can flirt with everybody. Yeah, right. He can have his ashram of women, and he was doing it for 20 years. And so many of other devotees from before I came, they were reporting him. Nobody was doing nothing about it. It's our I don't even want to say his name, but it's our like holy personality. We cannot like say nothing. He's representing pure like bhakti, which is not true. And then they destroyed my reputation step by step. There is one woman that is very good at it. He didn't do it only to me. He did it very much in very interesting way to many other people. And when I realized, kind of too late, because I was already like again in my suicidal brain, like, okay, so I had this experience outside ISKCON in my life. I was not so happy. I was finding my purpose. I left the whole world I built. I was not practicing like officially. I was doing the work for them. I left my apartment. It was now brahmachari ashram, and yeah, and I don't even have to, I cannot even use my car, and I'm just here. And you start seeing these things, you start seeing all this drama, man, so much drama. Like devotees, they are feeding themselves on drama. who's doing what, because nobody's chanting there much like how they are supposed to, and everybody's just gossiping like, oh, did you know, oh, she's doing this, oh, she's doing that, oh, she's crazy, oh, she's that, oh, and did you hear about this, like non-stop. It was crazy. So
Well, everyone wants to be the next guru.
Yeah,
everyone wants to be the next person on top, and so in order to do that, it usually ends up creating drama.
Lot of drama. Yeah, I mean, this person, he wants to be sannyasi, but fortunately, Bhakti Maharaj, this is his project. He's very controversial in ISKCON, so they forbidden his disciples to become sannyasis. So he cannot be sannyasi, this guy. At least it's something very satisfying to know, because man, crazy. So, and yeah, I mean, that was the first part. And then I moved to France because a lot of the girls that were supposed to stay in Czech farm, and we were supposed to be together in the ashram, they left to France. So they invited me, and I asked for permission, obviously, and I left here. And it was a little bit better, but I was already so fried that I pretended I'm not architect, so nobody can take advantage of me. I was just cleaning toilets, cooking, and I have so many skills. But what's funny? More skilled you are, more threatening you are to other people. So they don't want you to use to anything. So like it was really sad. Everything I wanted, like I wanted all the things. I was studying hard. I read all the books within 1 year, which is not normal. I was sad. I thought that everyone is doing it, but no. You realize that people, they don't read books. They don't even know what's here. They don't even know, and it's amazing. And they don't even know. It's crazy to me. They don't know about any drama, about anything that happened in America or in India. Nothing about raping, nothing about murders. They know nothing. And I did too for a long time. And, and in France, New Mayapur temple, New Mayapur next to Tours. That's the only farm in France. And I want to say it because, so we speak about certain places, and it's not like it didn't happen. It happened in certain places. Mm-hmm. There were so many things that happened there in this particular place that I started realizing. I started reading news about it, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like there was a girl that she killed herself by putting herself into fire. She put gas on herself.
Wow.
And killed herself like that because she heard voices. And more things.
You guys don't do any mental health care.
No. And right? I realized that because I was taking care of the ashram, of the Mataji ashram. I made it like in a way that we were strict, Bhakti Maharaj disciples very strict. Muchi, suchi, clean, blah, blah, all these things. So I was taking care of the ashram. Busy. Yeah, busy. And I was seeing girls crying all the time. And I was, I love all of them. I had amazing conversation with one of them. I wanted to help. I was always having this need. I want to help people. And especially I wanted to be needed because I was always not so needed, especially in Czech. They just make me feel like I am some imposter or I don't even know, So I'm always pretending to know stuff. I don't even know how you pretend to know stuff. I just know them. I don't know how you can pretend to know stuff, but I guess people do it. No idea. So, and also I was sick. I have ankylosing spondylitis. And when I joined Temple, I also suffered from Lyme disease. So 2 things came at once. And I didn't know for a long time because you have to have a lot of tests and I had treatment for one thing, then I had period that it was fine, and then the other thing, the ankylosing spondylitis hit me stronger, and so I was very sick. No one cares about you when you are sick. No one cares. You can literally die, and no one would know for a week, at least.
Wow.
I have this crazy experience I was so sick. I had fever for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we had this group chat because no one speaks in person. In France, you have an app, you have WhatsApp, and everyone's just on WhatsApp. You never speak face to face because that would be too personal. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, but I was like, what we are doing here? And
Yeah.
I was sometimes asking those questions. I was the problematic one because I could not keep my mouth shut. So
You were there for the community, right?
Yeah.
That was a very big part of it too.
Yeah. And they don't want troubles. They don't want things to be pointed out. I was.
But they don't want you guys talking and finding out things. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was sick that much for 2 weeks. No one helped me with anything. I had, and you are in France. In France, nobody speaks English. Nobody. And I know I lived here for 30 years. I know nobody speaks English, and if they do speak English, it's funny English. And I was asking because there was only cars that was available for the temple residents, and I needed somebody to drive me somewhere. Nobody was ever available, or the cars, because we had only 2, were also never available. And no one ever could have just got me pills, even though I had fevers. I was very sick in the bed. They were just thinking it's okay, that's some flu, And we had a doctor, like, I don't know if it's so-called doctor or really a doctor, but doctor, on the property. He visited me and was like, oh, it's flu, you will be fine. It was not flu, and I would not be fine, anyway.
Oh man.
So I was 3 days not eating and not drinking. Usually after 3 days with fever, you die. So somehow I managed to bring myself the 3rd day. I was literally at some point like laying in the bed crying because the ashram is very big and there were not many girls at that point. There was only one and she was gone, and it was me and all those others like somewhere in their rooms. No one would visit you because they are always so busy with services. You wake up at 3:30, and you are busy until 10. It's like, so I was just crying there, and I was like, no one cares if I die. If I die here, they will not know for 1 week. And I felt like there was like something that you realize you can just die, and no one will know. And I felt like shit. I felt the worst in my life. I felt so invisible. I felt like I don't matter, and that no one cares because they just treat you like disposable product. I was dead, and I forced myself the next morning. No, actually, one girl came, and she was not a devotee. There is the program with volunteers. She came and she gave me certain pills that I asked for, and they helped a little bit. And then after I took breakfast, and I was like, okay, I'm not dying. I was like, I just really pushed myself that I will go through this. But I was not doing good. I was having so much pain everywhere, muscles, bones, having the fever and stuff. And I was really fatigued. No one cares. And if
they don't even know because they're not even checking on you.
No, they don't know. They don't care. They don't drive you to hospital. They don't drive you to doctor. They don't take it seriously. And this didn't happen only to me. I was listening all the girls crying all the time, saying all the same stuff. And I was like, I have to find out what's happening here. And I realized that, okay, so the temple president, they are doing something very, very fucked up here. And I start to dealing with them a little bit of things, some architecture project and the ashram management. And I realized that thanks to them, you cannot do nothing. And it was mind-blowing. But then I just connected all the stuff that people were telling me, like, also that no one cares. I'm here, I'm doing services, no one speaks to me, I'm like, invisible to everybody. I'm like disposable product. I'm here doing 8 hours of work. It's never, nobody says thank you. You are just like, it's, everyone's doing it. Why you are special? Why we are supposed to acknowledge anything you're doing? I don't know, because maybe, it's not normal. No, not everyone just comes, gives everything up to just work here for 8 hours. Maybe you expect all those things that are written here, like loving exchanges, treating each other with respect, caring, loving, like it's all there. It's all there. No, you don't have it there. And you experience it only if you are in the ashram. That's when it really strongly hits you that, everyone suffered. Srila Prabhupada suffered, right? When he came to America, he had like supposedly too hard attack on the ship. There is no proof of it, obviously, but we have to believe it because he said it, let's say. And he suffered through all the America, like 1 year before he met devotees. And so everyone, and suffering is glorified. It's glorified to the point that you are saying stories like how this devotee left his body and what he was doing before leaving his body. And it's glorified that he sacrificed his body. So you are thinking you have to do it also. But at the same time, my mind was like, that's fucked up. I don't want my friends to die. I don't want them. I love them. I don't want them to be miserable. Like, I could not bear everyone crying there. And then everyone slowly start leaving. Many people left. A lot of them, they are not practicing, or they are doing some stuff, but not ISKCON related. And they realized it much more sooner than me, because I was like, I left everything in Czech. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have like place to come back to. Everybody had place to come back to. I was alone. I was alone. I didn't have husband. I didn't have apartment. I had no possessions. And
by that point, are you not talking to any family or any friends or?
I was not transparent about what is happening there, because I was, the manipulation goes that further, like to the point that you really believe that you are making offenses if you speak about it, and that's not rational. Now thinking about it retrospectively, it's insane, but it's like, it's not rational. You just really strongly believe you will offend God. But when I start really thinking about what would God do, because part of every religion, I think God loves you, right? And I was thinking, if all those people claiming they are speaking words of God, and if God wants me to suffer, then he's psychopath, I guess. So I was start thinking, like, if all those things that Prabhupada is saying, and I soon found out about all those things, what he was doing to kids, to Gurukulas, what happened in New Vrindavan in USA, I connected everything that was happening in Czech Farm. In Czech Farm, there is a girl that raped one girl that tried to attempt suicide, and she's still there. She's still there, and nobody knows. And it's like this secret. And I cannot talk about it, basically, because it's just alleged. Like, where is my proof? It's only because I know this story, and it just horrifies me that the temple president, he just covered it under the carpet because he likes the guy that she's married to, because she was married when she did this thing. We just like, what the heck,
Yeah.
It's like, when I was realizing that this is just the bunch of hypocrites. No one's honest about nothing. They lie to your face. They take all of your money, possession. They embrace suffering. And when you don't do something right, they will just call you and speak to you, like, hey, not like this, And it was insane, this realization. It started kicked in, and more I was like, okay, if Krishna is claiming, because a lot of things in Bhagavad Gita, they are like, I'm your friend, I'm your best friend, I will protect you. And you don't need to go to forest, you don't need to do stuff, you can just live your life. I'm here, I'm your best friend. I was like, so I have few best friends, right? I was thinking, do I want them to suffer? Well, would I enjoy if they would just suffer all day to prove me, that they love me and that I will love them after? I'm like, no, this is psychopathy. So I just could not suddenly agree with this image of God, that if Prabhupada, whatever he's saying, it's God's word, because that's what he's saying all the time, then that means that God is psychopath. And I was like, this is not normal. I don't believe Krishna is psychopath or Vishnu or God. Like, I don't think so. It's like, sorry, that just doesn't make any sense, And then it starts just hitting after when I left. I was for a few months in India. The problem with me is that I really have I experienced certain things through the practice that it's transcendental. Or maybe I just went insane and I just imagined it, even though it felt real. Like, let's put it like that. So I was like, okay, but if this is real, how I can differentiate, where is the line? And it's so blurred that you don't know how to navigate yourself. You have to get out yourself from there, but it takes so much time to do that. And I met my husband in the temple because I was so low there. I trust nobody. And I was like, I just want really true friend. I feel like if I'm supposed to just live on this planet and to do something, I need somebody to trust. I need some friend. And I met him. He was there for 15 years. He was and not, it was like, he was just like a ghost, in a sense, because he practiced, but like a robot practicing, because he also didn't know what to do in his life. So we met at the same time. We left together, and it was horrible because I went to complicated post-traumatic syndrome, because when I left, all the identity I built around spiritual life was stolen away from me.
Not just about spiritual life. It's your whole identity. It feels like they're taking everything from you and that leaving you with nothing.
Yeah. And so I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know. Like, I built my purpose around it.
Yeah.
I don't have any purpose right now. And now I have to live in the world again, like somehow. And I didn't know where to start. And I spoke with few, there is groups,
well, you've also given up an apartment. You've given up your vehicle. You've moved a couple times now. Yeah. I have to ask, did you shave your head?
No.
Okay, good. The hair, that pretty hair was still there. Then that's good.
No, I did not like
hair. I was like, yeah.
No.
But like you've given them everything, and that's on purpose. So that when you leave, you don't have anything. It's not like you can just go leave the temple and then go back to your apartment and then not return there, right? Like, it's not like you can just get in your car and drive away. Like, this
and I was in France, and I'm still in France. Like, I can go at least to my parents' house. You need money for the ticket and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly,
but how do you go there and then tell them all this? And that's what also keeps people. Like, I noticed you said you weren't transparent with them, right? And so a lot of people go, I don't know how to now show up at my family's doorstep and be like, hey, by the way, I need help now. I've been a part of this thing for this long, and it's taken everything from me.
My problem is, I moved from my parents' house when I was 20. At this point, when I left last year, I was 32. So you don't leave your parents' house on your own if there is not an issue with them.
Right.
So I left because I was independent since I was a kid, because that's how my mom, she just, forced me to learn how to be. And I had to do everything on my own because she was never supportive. And she would fight me, she would beat me. She made sure that I hate home so much that the first thing when I was 18 was leaving, and I was thinking how I will realize it. And then first opportunity that I got, I left. We made a lot of work, I went to forgiveness, we speak together, I hug her, I love her, whatever. But they are not the people I want to ask for help. Like,
I have the same with my mom, so I really do. Yeah. I understand that that's not the person that you can call up in your time of need and get support, like a lot of people might experience with their moms, right? And so then you're in a really crappy place. Where do you go?
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you, but the problem is I was so vulnerable. I didn't know, because when I met these people, I had this feeling I want to belong somewhere, and I thought that we read all the same books, so they must be nice, and it must be good. And take
You
there
finally
are
found
things.
your people,
Yeah,
That's
finally
the
found my
feeling.
people. Wow. And it was not true. And honestly, I have friends. They are good people. I have few friends I'm in touch that they are practicing this thing. With one, I'm really transparent that I'm not supporting this, and I'm like speaking strongly about it. And doesn't mean that I condemning the whole thing. I educated myself enough to know why people want to practice Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I just wish they are transparent about things, saying in a way that when this movement happens 500 years ago, there was the two groups that one had this argument, other had this argument. So the third movement joined the two argument, and so that's how we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his form of Radha and Krishna. We never transparent about nothing, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to believe in this incarnation or not. It's fine, but you just be transparent about it. And I didn't know that it's just this thing. It's not ancient, because if we speak about ancient Bhagavad Gita, it is Vaishnavism, Hinduism. It's all interconnected. There are branches from each other, whatnot. The principles are there. Honestly, I live by certain principles. I live by being humble, but not humble that you cannot speak about things. Being humble means like you are aware that you are not the center of the universe. It's like that's normal, right? And that you want to help people, you improve yourself spiritually, and materially, and I don't know, mentally, whatnot. You work on yourself. You want to be a good person, right? Like there are so many things there. You, for example, in the Nectar of Instructions, like you don't overuse your tongue, for example. You don't speak about people. You are not indulging yourself in gossips into infinity. It's like you control yourself. The
Right.
control is
Yeah.
important. So there are principles, but it went to extreme, and I followed it because there is the stressing. You have to be surrendered, which I tried to. I was like, yeah, I will be. And then you follow the guru and the like the hierarchy, and you follow what they are saying, and that's how you prove yourself that you are honest. And and I am about being honest, and I wanted to really do good. I just was thinking it will be all my life. I still don't eat meat. I still don't indulge in certain activities, because that's who I am as a person. And the philosophy is part of it, and I love that there is philosophy about it, I guess. But it just speaks to me. I don't want to enforce it to other people. It's just we are so different, and you don't understand how toxic the whole thing is until you really go so deep. And then you are like, man, I just thought that I will never join a cult. Like, how come me individually thinking before, questioning things where people were telling me something and not taking it at its false value, how I ended up there. And there it's like the puzzles were nicely placed, and it was like my vulnerability and my naivety really lead me there. And I'm grateful for this experience, because I'm not naive anymore, at least that the religions are something amazing, in a sense that people they can fuck up everything. They can turn something amazing, or that has potential to be so amazing, into horrifying, like pure hell. So yeah, now it's 1 year and a half that I'm gone. But it was not like I was gone from the temple, and the transition from like not practicing, it took me the whole time almost. I stopped practicing completely 2 months ago, like programs and stuff, because I wanted to get rid of all the voices in my head that's not mine, so I can discover what's truly me, what's truly something I value, and I can follow, and it's honest, and it doesn't harm me and other people. And it's also representation of something sane, because it's really insane, especially when you start really reading into what Prabhupada was saying. I was lucky and unlucky that I didn't know for a long time. And if somebody would tell me something, I was like, no, that's not true. We are lying or something. But the proofs there. What is the one disadvantage of all of those things that Hare Krishna, they didn't really think twice about? They recorded every word of them, every word. So now it's there, everywhere on the internet, in the books. They even have books. So, even if it's get wiped out from the internet, they would have to also burn all the books, And
well, they even have people that wrote down his speeches that he did live to make sure they have even those words.
Yeah, about and when it really hit me the most, when I've heard like my ex-guru talking about supporting pedophiles. There is a talk from him speaking about how we are supposed to respect these older devotees because they did a lot of service, and he doesn't judge them because if one do sin, but he dedicate his whole life to something good, we should not take him responsible for anything. Like, what? Like, I'm sorry, there is a law. If you just molested a kid, you can go to prison. You can still practice what you preach, whatever, but take a responsibility, condemn yourself, and then just go out and like preach whatever you want, but at least serve time, like be punished or something. Like, this is not normal, and that's interesting. There is something like toxic positivity, where you have like this toxic forgiveness, seeing abuse as karma, as Krishna's will, respect for senior devotees, and all of these things combined, then you have very good, like I would call it like kitchery, that people can get away with everything.
It's true.
Everything. But only if you are on top. You do. I know a guy, he's still next to the temple. He sexually abused a girl. She ended up in a psychiatry, or I think so, like the hospital, it was mental hospital. They don't believe her. They don't believe her, and the guy is still like working for the temple. But there is no proof, right? Because she will not go
to them. It's also not really abuse.
No, of course not. It's not. It's like
they agree with the fact that little girls should be able to be married to adult men. Like, they think that if you're 40 years old, then you should be marrying somebody that's pure. And to them, the most pure type of woman, as they'll put it, is somebody that is at the age of about 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I know a girl in Czech farm, and they were like considering like when she will hit 12, 13 to get her like engaged unofficially to somebody, so she can be ready. Like, they are growing them into, being housewives and, caring child and all of this. They don't have even thought of,
education.
An education completely, like,
it's not there.
And the abuse on the kids also is interesting. When they are sick, on the people on the farm, they are sick all the time because they are not vaccinated. They don't believe, and like in medicine, a lot of the times the kids, they had cats, infected cats, 3 or 4 kids, they get the infection from the cat. One guy, he had like big, like, I don't even know how you call it, like from the cat, like this mark that started to to be very infected. And it's like, I was like, what is going on here? Like let's call some social security on these people, but on the outside nobody knows. You have to live it and see it, and probably would have to document it so you have proof, and then go, first of all, who has time for it? And when you are there, you are one of them. So like, you can infiltrate and then collect everything, I guess, but the infiltration would have to require you to do everything as them anyway. So maybe you will get brainwashed on in the meantime. So, it's like, it's not easy. And a lot of people, when they leave, they don't want to speak about nothing. I didn't want to speak about it. I
Right.
don't want because the people know me, I know them, and they can text you anytime. They just speak about you all the time, which is fine now. I don't care. I want if you have nothing to better to do than just speak about me, like that's on you, really. I We have this agreement with my husband that uh we don't speak much about it, like in toxic way. When the point when we are starting going into some rabbit hole that we would like start, then we are like, no, 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 that's what we promise not to do it, because we don't want to be those people. We don't want to be like them. I experience what is it to be the most toxic person, and I
Yeah.
don't want to be. I don't want to be. I want to just cherish the world. Like, you can really, it's your perception. If you want to see the world as hell, it's
Mhm.
hell. If you want to see it, it's something good or something between. It's also that, it's just really on you. And I just decided not to do it, and it helped me immensely. Like, that's why I'm able to have conversation with you, because I changed my beliefs.
Mhm.
I had time to do it. Like, he gave me the space and time to heal myself partially, and I don't have voices anymore. I abandoned everything because I want to have clean start, again. It was horrible. I thought many times I will not be able to do it. Like, it messes up with your brain, and you think about killing yourself and be feeling so worthless, and but then the proof speaks for itself. The ex Hare Krishna group, they are making very good job about all of those things that are written online and exposing them in a sense. And I also wrote some, like, my experience there, so people can like see it, that not only crazy people join the temple, like there are generally very good people. I met a lot of them. They also like
I'd say
they
most of the people in are good people.
yeah,
I'd say most of the members are good people, right? It's the
yeah,
people at the top that tend to be the evil people. Everyone else that joins, for the most part, in my experience, are very much like you, where they are seeking some kind of spirituality, some kind of higher power, some higher purpose. They're looking
yeah.
for community. And one similar theme across the board, too, is that they're all people that really want to help other people.
Yeah, exactly. And you're really believing that you are doing good thing, like you are spreading the words of God, right? What can be better than that? Like, you just
Mm.
literally thinking everyone can hear His name and become purified, because we are sinful, right? We just like our birth is a sin. It's I don't know, if you think about it, if God would really see us like this, that's not nice. Honestly, that would not be nice. Like, you have a baby and you would think, oh, he's sinful, just, I gave birth to him and I will just think about him as sin. It's just so toxic. And honestly, all the people, they stayed, and I know they are not evil, but they are very mentally sick. That's why how they become evil, because the rigid also schedule that you wake up. I want to become a psychologist, and I studied this past year also a lot of about brain. The fact that you sleep only 5 hours a day, and I don't
Yep.
know, I have spreadsheet with all my wakings ups, and you sleep 5 hours a day. Usually it's not even good quality of sleep because you have many people around all the time. uh your brain is just damaging slowly, slowly, there is the layer surrounding the brain. It's like diminishing, which prevents you from developing mental illnesses, and but for that you have to have good sleep and good food, and you don't have either of those things. And on top of it, you have toxic relationship where everybody hates you, everybody speaks behind your back about how horrible and non-advanced person you are, and
Hmm.
gossips, and it really fucks you up. Like, I cannot say it differently, because you know you just somehow are confused. You don't even know what's real anymore,
Right.
and
What is a
you
typical day? Like for people that are going to watch this, what does it
yeah.
look like a whole day from, when do you wake up, from the time you wake up until you go to sleep? What are you doing when you are deep into this.
Deep, yeah. So when you are really deep, when you are in the ashram, it's obviously very different when you are living outside. So it's very strict, or at least it should be. Some people find a way around it, of course, but it should be. My typical day, like mine, I would wake up between 3:30 to 3:45. I would have like 15 minutes to go to the bathroom, prepare myself food, and I had always like I wanted to chant few rounds before Mangala Arati, which is the morning program that starts at 4:30. I would go there even when I was extremely sick. That was my dedication. I don't say it's because I'm proud of it or not proud of it, because I just strongly believe in that. I thought that it's something that you must do, and it's part of it, and I was able to do it. I'm usually like determined to do a lot of things. Then you chant. It depends on you, and it also like if you have time, because there is sometimes morning service, cooking breakfast. So then at 5 or 5:30 you go and cook. So usually if you are not completely tired, because at the end of my experience I would have 1 hour for resting. I would go to sleep because my body would in pain, but before that I would finish my japa, my chanting. Then maybe there would be time either for the service or you would be in the room resting. There is at 7:30, I would go for Guru Puja. There's another singing of Guru's name, I'm like worshiping him. Yeah,
more worshiping. A lot of worship.
Yeah.
By this time.
Yeah, 4:30 to 5, it's the singing, the Guru Puja, Mangala Arati. And then from 5 to 5:15, we had an additional thing. You sing prayers of Nrsimhadev, you sing Shikshashtakam, you read a little bit of books, and then you start. It's not like when you are there, you think it's mandatory. Honestly, I just think you can go around it, you can go to sleep or whatever, but there is always the judgment present, right? If you are not there in the room, like temple president, he knows, or the other people, they know. So if she's serious or not, right? So 7:30 to 8, there is the Guru Puja. And then from 8 to 9, sometimes it would go longer. It depends if it would be Maharaj speaking or, somebody who just enjoyed talking into oblivion. Usually, people, they would not have anything interesting to say, I'm sorry, only like just speaking about like we speak, and then you would hear about all their life during the lecture, and you're like, hey, can we just read the verses? So that's the lecture for 1 hour. Then it's breakfast. Breakfast never on time. So if you're starving, there is no breakfast, and you cannot eat. And usually,
what is breakfast? Like what do you eat
Depends.
there?
Usually khichdi, which is the mix of rice, dal, or some lentils with vegetable. Also depends who cooks sometimes, and spices. Someone usually, who's good cook, it would be nice. There would be a few times paneer, which is like a like form of protein made from milk that's cut into pieces and put it into khichdi. Then you would have some sort of bread, chapati, which everything like Indian preparation, and porridge, which I always hated because it was just some slop of like oats, like mixed with milk and and some jam. That would be like standards. And sometimes depends on who cooked, they would do something more fancy, some potatoes, or different breads, and maybe butter you can put on top. But I had to have diet, so sometimes I would ask for some special for me aside. I could do that, because I had friends there also, obviously. So it was not like that we could not speak, that they would do some changes for me. Or I would cook in Mataji kitchen, Mataji ashram kitchen. There was this option, but you have to cook. You have to, go few days before also in the basement where is all the food, because sometimes it happened there is nothing. The temple would run out of the money, so there would not be much things. So you would eat only like flour, rice, and some like dal. I don't know, like very carbs like diet. Everyone is skinny because there is no protein, no fat. Like we have to save money on everything. And and he would be sick a lot of the times after eating like that, like the Sunday feast. When you're eating, it's the only day that there is a lot of preparation. It's fried stuff, super fried stuff, different. It's like, and then milk, sweets, very sweet milk. I don't know. I didn't like it when I was cooking, because at some point, I was, architecture job was one thing, and I was also doing garlands. That was my other service, but I was cooking also, and I was trying to buy stuff. If I knew I'm on schedule, I went to shop day before or 2 days before. I bought stuff so I can make something very healthy and very nice. And I was not allowed to cook many times, as you can imagine, because there are more senior devotees that have privilege to cook. And so even though I wanted,
Of course, right?
I couldn't, so I helped. Sometimes I was just helping. They would allow me. We would have salad, for example, for lunch. There would be salad and soup, or something like simple. And on dinner, which was always very late at 8, like who eats?
Okay.
I
So
don't,
you do breakfast, lunch,
yeah.
and dinner, but it's all the same meal usually.
Yeah, sometimes you eat leftovers, right? Because there will not be enough people to prepare.
Leftover rice soup. Oh,
Leftovers. People
nice.
would forget. People would not come to the services. You would do a lot of things around. The whole management part, it was insane. Like, I know some temples, they are very managed nicely. These ones, they were always like out of schedule. So even if you follow the schedule, you could not rely on it. And so, so after 9, there was the breakfast, and then it depends what service you have. By the way, making garlands, it can take you 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just 1 hour service. If you want to do them like very beautiful, because if you do some ugly garlands, everybody would tell you, like you were not allowed to make ugly garlands. And and you have services between breakfast and lunch, obviously. So it depends. Sometimes I would cook, I would help. So we were in the kitchen. You have to be clean, and that means you don't eat. You eat, and you cannot go to pee and then like even poop, nothing. Like, you just have to stay there. If you would like to do those things, you have to take a shower, because the kitchen has to be clean, only people. But it's funny, because it was only for us, the ashram devotees, the standard. But then we allowed also the volunteers coming in, and they had no idea about any like cleanliness standards. So there was always debates who's allowed to go to the kitchen, if so it took a long time. That was the longest service with the garlands for me. And then after lunch until evening program was 6:30, Gora Arati. I was there most of the time alone or with few people. Like, I don't know, it was not favorite program to go, but it was my favorite, and that's why I was there very often. And there is many services also during that time. Either I was doing some architecture stuff, meetings, then you have more cleaning, sometimes cooking dinner. I don't know, you name it. Lot of things around it. And after Gora Arati, which finished at 7, well, for me, there was not a lot of the time. Either you had free time, or you went to eat or something, or there was a program, like a lecture. There was a senior Mataji, she would have it, like Bhagavad Gita reading, which was nice. And it depends if you chanted all your rounds. I did. I always chanted in the morning. And if I had time, I would chant another japa afternoon, because it usually, so it depends. I would chant sometimes just second japa, or learning verses. I was into learning, so I was
Studying the books, basically.
And or just sometimes we would also do nothing. We would just speak with the girls in the ashram. That there would be time that you could just chat with the girls in the ashram, and delaying the service and complaining about everything. Basically, there was always prajalpa. present. You meet somebody, oh, it's horrible, I'm this person and that person, oh yeah, I know, and this is happening and that is happening, and oh, I have to run out to the service, and it's like it's pure chaos. Like you try to be structured. For me, that was the morning was more structured, but the whole day it's pure chaos. Organizing things, people being there on time, doing what they're supposed to do. It, pure chaos. Like I don't know what to say. And then sleeping, it depends where other people also when other people were also going to sleep, because sometimes it was not possible. It would be very late. Even if you try to go to bed at 8, you would not be able to fall asleep. There were programs downstairs, because you literally had the ashrams above the common public spaces, so there would be so much noise. Kids would run in the ashram all the time, even though it's forbidden. Like nothing was working normally. And so I believe there are, I guess, places where things works and are managed. In this particular place where I spent the most time in France, it was like really pure chaos. And things need, I addressed them many times. I don't even know if they were ever like taken seriously. So yeah, typical day, like we worked a lot, 3:30 in the morning until 8, 9, depends. I was trying to, like maximum was 9, but it was not possible. Sometimes you have festivals, and you have a lot of them during the season, and you just cook all day. Janmashtami, you don't sleep until midnight, and you don't drink, you don't eat, you have all those ekadashi in between. Like not every day looks the same. Also Saturday you would go to the city to perform. I'm sorry, I have my hairs in my face, I'm touching myself too much. You have a Saturday walk, like kirtans outside. Yeah. And also, if we have free time, we would try to organize something with the girls, going like having some free afternoon on the weekend if it was possible, so we are not so much like in this chaos all the time. And then when it was very bad, I was going running sometimes. Even if I was in pain, I just needed to go. And then also it was a little bit different when I met my husband, because he had his own little house, a little like wooden cabin. And so I spent some time there, especially when he started working. He was leaving to tours to work, and I had it for myself. So I was just there alone from everything. And I was just, thinking like, what am I supposed to do? And then I started Rebel also at some point. I just didn't go to programs. I was just like doing my stuff. I was like, no one is following anything anyway. It's like you try to prove to who. It just didn't make any sense anymore. And there can be so much stuff that can be said about the management in particular, but it's like maybe too many details, and it's not that important. Nothing changed. It's still run by the same people. They really love the way how they are running it. They're creating this image that it's eco village. It has nothing to do with eco village like whatsoever. They don't know how to manage things, and it's coming from somebody who was like managing my own project as an architect. I had a whole team with people. I know what is it to manage. So you need to be educated for these roles, and it was not that.
If that's
And
what you're thinking, well, how are you the person in power then if you don't know how to manage anything going on over here? What's going on? Right?
yeah. And you are always like, what's going on? Why am I? It's like you are questioning a lot of things, but you are like speaking most of the time in your head, because there is not many people around. I remember when
Well, they're all chanting, so they wouldn't be able to hear you anyway.
Exactly. And you have a judgment present all the time, because if you are listening some karmi music, not official music, you are in Maya, and you have this all like, we have to escape and fight. And what's funny to me, like Maya, it's a devotee of God, like his right hand. And I was always thinking in my head, she's his beloved devotee, why I have to hate her? Like why I have to fight, and like it's like he's this evil entity. And I was like, I don't get this. I was really like sometimes like, why, she's doing, if I would just say it through the lens of the philosophy, she's doing her job basically. And and your job is just like to just acknowledge that fact, and you can live your life, and you don't have to remind yourself 24/7 that you have to fight with something evil.
Right.
This obsession with fighting, and everyone is demon, and everyone is this and that, and then you just feel that everything is horrible, not only outside but also here, because everyone is doing something wrong. This person is chocolate. Oh, he drink green tea. Oh, he was offering something not offerable to God, and everything has to be a case. Every detail, it's a big thing. Yeah, it's crazy world there, and it is like seriously crazy.
Is there anything else that you would want people to know about this that you feel like you haven't touched on yet?
Sorry.
You've done a great job, by the way, if you've been wondering. You've done a really great job of telling the story. I think that everyone's going to think that you're really cool, very well-spoken, intelligent person. It's so crazy to me as someone on the outside who like looks at all of the cults to kind of see how everyone's experience is so similar. Like I said, doesn't matter what cult they're in. There's so many people right now going through this deprogramming period almost after leaving institutions like this. Doesn't really matter who the leader is, what the God is, or even who you are. That's not what matters. That doesn't add to any of the abuse. The problem is the system and the control that the system has over people, and then how that can kind of breed a toxic environment. And for some reason, when that happens, it fosters all of these other things, and there's always abuses, and there's always these stories of people feeling like they didn't have their own autonomy because they were working all day long for free, right? Yeah. That's also in almost every single one of them, like Jehovah's Witnesses and LDS, they do missionary work where they go door knocking all day long every day. Scientology even has children as young as 3-4 years old doing physical hard labor at all kinds of different farms and camps all over every country pretty much. And it's just fascinating to kind of like see, but I wish there was some way to combat that, like what do you think we need to do in order to fix this issue or speak out about these things better?
I don't have the answer. I'm sorry. I'm like, I wish
hey, that's an answer.
I wish, because I'm listening, there is this guy, he's very much following his ex-Mormon, for example, and and he's doing amazing job on YouTube, but it will not prevent all the other people that are in the Mormonism to just suddenly like leaving in masses. Because even if I speak about it about my experience with people that are still inside. They don't want to know. They tell me
they're not going to be watching.
Yeah,
right.
They don't want to know. They are like, that's not true. This really happened. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I thought that these things are not happening in this movement. I know. I remember when I was starting, it was like they are in pure shock, and they are like, I don't want you to ruin my experience that I'm having. It's like you are ruining it for them basically, and they blame you. Like they are like, no, you are suddenly this negative figure speaking about these things, and I remember you just choose not to believe it. And I remember also at some point, before I really started researching myself and like being like questioning my brain and all the beliefs, I was like, someone says something, okay, there is some context behind it. There is always like There is few like version of the story. What's yours? What's not? I'm telling one story right now, and people who would listen and they would even know me, they would be like, well, she would tell me something else at that time. Yeah, probably I would, because I did not have this awareness back then. I
Right.
was having different thinking, different experience, and
You didn't have the
so
knowledge you do today.
the knowledge. And I think the education, what I really truly believe that I wish for people, maybe educate themselves before joining anything about the history. Really, like history. And if the people, and if they have somebody there, they can really speak about all those things and they are transparent, that's a good sign. And if they are not allowed to speak about it, that is very red flag. And I would always
Mhm.
say that don't go. If they are not willing to be transparent about nothing, that's a really red flag. Yeah. And
Was that
education.
your first red flag, do you think? Like realizing that you didn't really know the actual background and that this was Hare Krishna and not
Yeah.
something else? Do you think that was
Yeah,
your first, like, whoa?
I think so. I think when I really realized how I saw from inside the structure that it's not working, and it led me to Prabhupada. And then I really studied what he was saying, and me studying psychology at the same time. What does those things do to your brain?
Mhm.
How are the manipulation techniques and gaslighting and the authority figure, and then how it's based on them. And then it starts, when you have your parents, for example, they scream at you, they beat you, they say nasty stuff to you. You grew up and you start doing the same thing, or you grew up and you decide you will not be like your parents because you have the experience how it feels like not to be like that. So you have these two branches in the movement. They are ISKCON leaders that they are fully aware of all those things, and they don't want to have anything to do with this. You have Vaisheshika Prabhu in America, and he's beloved by millions, millions, maybe that's too much, I don't know, thousands of people. He's very well educated, spoken, smart, gentle, like all those good qualities. He's saint-like figure. I'm attracted to him. His books, but he still have the same language, even though it's not so toxic. He still uses the language of Srila Prabhupada. He really established certain language that it's imprinted inside of the philosophy. And then when you are immersed by it all the time, consumed by it, you are the product of it. And so
Mhm.
when all of you are the product, of course you follow the same thing, and then you are, toxic together. And then when you wake up from it, because I was like, I don't want to be toxic. I had friends, that when I started to be very negative because I was really fried, I did not want to speak with people. I was just like grumpy person in a sense. And one friend, she told me like, "Hey, you are extremely negative." So I took it to my heart, and I was start analyzing why I'm so negative. What am I fighting for? And then I realized it's because of the environment I'm in. Because
Mhm.
if everyone around you, it's a negative, toxic person.
Gossiping. I'm someone that really can't stand like gossiping. It really bothers me. Like I would. So if I was in an environment like that, that would definitely affect me,
And
especially
it's
after.
interesting when you start setting boundaries. I started setting boundaries saying, I will
Mhm.
not speak about it. I will not speak about the people. And they were like, so what happened? No, I will. If I speak with you about it, I don't want you to spread it. And if you will spread it, I will know. And it will hurt me. And so I started to be vocal about it. I was like, no, I will not tell you. And man, I had encounters with few devotees in the
Yeah, you got
temple.
backlash for that.
Oh, of course. Like one devotee, she told me something about my friend. My friend, she told me something about the other devotee, which was also my friend. And I was like, maybe you should speak together. I don't know. And then, and then I said to her, I was in the situation when I was trying to be like in the middle to navigate the
The
situation.
mediator of this, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, well, I'm aware about this and I know certain things, but I don't want to tell you because, it will just hurt you. It will not. And she was like, no, I want to know. I want to get better, So I told her. She went to other devotee that had literally nothing to do with this whole situation. And the other friend, she spoke with this other devotee, and she came back to me screaming at me, how come I told this to this person? And so I started on her. I have enough. I have enough. You should speak together. This is not my problem. I grab her into the room to the other person. I was like, and now you talk because I have enough. You telling me she's an ass. This person telling me you are an ass. Okay, you are both asses. You can speak together. I have enough. Like I have enough, and it helped. It helped. It also established the thing that the other person distanced herself from me, because obviously I just was not. I didn't want to play this game anymore. Really, like I was like, I have enough. And when you start setting boundaries, people, they don't like it. They don't like it. You are problematic. It's like, how was labeled as problematic, and she's not easy to work with because she's opinionated. Yeah, I am opinionated because I believe in justice. I was trying to to fight sometimes for people, for the temple, for things to change. And when you see it's not changing, it's just like you're hopeless. And unfortunately, I am autistic, and it plays also a big role.
Yeah, it's a big role in that too.
Yeah, for myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I shut down. I didn't want to explain nothing. I just shut down because I could not cope with everything.
It's the cognitive dissonance and the hypocrisy with the lack of fairness, and our autism doesn't let us deal with that.
No, and I didn't know because I knew I'm weird, and my mom, when I was a kid, she weird. I felt that there was something broken in me, but I'm just different. Doesn't mean weird, but that's how I felt. That's what I want to say. And my mom, when I was a kid, she took me to the person, that specialist, and he said that either she has autism and ADHD or ADHD. We never discussed after that ever. I forget it for many years. And recently I was speaking to psychologists, and we renewed the diagnosis and spoke about it into depthness, because I never realized how deeply it affected me in my life before. But it's interesting because before I had coping mechanisms how I dealt with it. But
you're good at masking.
Yeah, masking.
Girls that are like type A personality, and that can be very, very good at school, and that schedules and that kind of thing. We're kind of known for masking and then not finding out how much it's affecting us until later on in life.
Exactly. And I was highly masking, and I couldn't mask in the temple. That's why I was in so many situations that were so bad for me, because I could not mask, and I would be just like this. I didn't want to speak. I was just, I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know back then that I just didn't mask, because I started working with this last year. And I was like, okay, it makes sense, because my obsession in the temple was being authentic. It really started. I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to be honest. But I realized,
and you really have a big sense of personal justice, which also just messes with you when you're in a situation like this.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm strongly, vocal about it. And many girls told me, oh, Dasha, I go speak to people. You can produce fear out of you. You have respect or something. And I was thinking that something bad, that that people are scared of me. I don't think they were scared of me. I think they are scared that I just speak about bullshit. I'm calling it out. I'm no, I just don't agree, and I'm just don't agreeing strongly sometimes. But I always respect other people, and me and my husband, we disagree a lot of the times. I love him. It's just we can disagree and be friends and love each other. It's not default. It's not bad thing. Mm-hmm. But in the temple, you are not allowed to be different. You are not allowed to have different opinions and views and outlook. It's not allowed. Yeah. And the topic that there is like another whole topic like about senior devotees in itself. Like it's just also like the whole hierarchy thing, how you are privileged when you are VIP and in position, and you know
Well,
how
keep them working towards that position, and it helps them keep you in line. Because, like you said, then if you're doing something like asking too many questions, they can say to you, "Oh, well, you're not going to advance properly if you keep asking those types of questions. Make sure you silence those." And it's all just for the manipulation, right?
exactly. And you know, for example, there is the whole thing about second initiation, and when you see who's getting
Mhm.
second initiations, only those favorable, who has good relationship with people. They don't even have to chant much, or they don't follow programs, or all the for regulative. They get the
Right.
second initiation,
It's who
and then
they
you are
know
like,
and who they're friends with more than
yeah, it's
what
about
they're
just
doing to. Yeah.
relationship, like in the real world, like material world, like if we call it in this language, when some CEO, he will get you the job in
Mhm.
his company. And here is the same thing. You
Yeah.
are okay, you are yes guy, you are nice guy, you can have anything. You are problematic, even though you follow everything on a paper. You are very intelligent, do every service, you follow all the check marks, but you are like a kind of more independent. No,
Mm.
we will make sure you are labeled as problematic, and you cannot do things that you would like to do. And I was really disappointed when you really see all this hypocrisy that nobody's following anything about it. I was just like, why this exists in the first place? Because I don't even know for what is exist if they don't follow things, honestly. And the obsession about service over anything else, it's also
Mm.
interesting, because it doesn't mind too much if you don't chant, or you are behind with your sadhana, like spiritual practice. If you are performing service, the voluntary service, you work hard, then everything's fine also.
Well,
You
that's working. That's the labor that they're exploiting you for.
Yeah, no one is paid for anything, right? And it's very sad. I There is the temple in Vrindavan, India, and the women working in the temple, they have whole service with making jewelry, and of course they are not paid, that's one thing, but they pay for their accommodation and food. And I'm always thinking, from what money exactly, if they
Yeah,
spend
how?
whole days in the temple? I don't get it. And they receive millions in donations, the
Mhm.
temple. They
Yep.
have money to support these girls, but because service, it's such like, it's the utmost like level of worship
Of worship.
God. You sacrifice yourself, you are
Mhm.
like, that's you know temple president in Czech, he told me when I was doing the designs for a new temple, he told me, if you do this, you go to spiritual life, you please God so much, you have place there, you know
Well, you got a ticket for salvation.
yeah. And
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, it was the first time, I think, in Czech specifically, I was like, there is something really wrong. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you cannot promise such things, like, and you just manipulate the person into work for you more. What it was more even insane, when my ex-guru came to Czech to visit the farm, he literally, the first thing that he said about me, because we had the gatherings with all the other devotees, disciples of his, and the temple president, he was introducing everybody, so he forgot me to mention, and the other girl, also new in the ashram, he completely forget to mention us, until one other devotee was like, hey, and these people here also exist. And he was like, oh yeah, this girl, Dasha, she's she's working for us for free. She's working for us for free. She's doing like temple designs, and this was all of what he said about me. And my ex-guru, he just looked at him like this. That was it. And I was thinking, So that's all you can say about me, that I'm working here for free.
Well, they were using you to legitimize themselves, you see. Because
Yes.
if someone like you is willing to come and work for them for free, then everything must be on the up and up.
Yes, of
Otherwise,
course.
why would you offer to come do that for them?
Yeah. But
Right?
I tell you, I feel like an idiot. Like, I always, you know what, I don't know what happened in my life, like, and in that specific period, if I was really that mentally out of place and manipulated and confused and stuff. But before, I was very spoken about injustice in my life, and if people would walk over me, I would not be like completely in board, you know.
Uh-huh.
It's true that in workplaces I was taken advantage of also. I was used to it. I worked in one company almost for nothing, 12 hours, 15 hours, you know. And I remember my dad back then, he was like, man, you don't have to do this. Like, you have self-worth, you can do better than this, you don't have to be taken advantage of. But sometimes I just, under certain pressure and certain environment and circumstances, I really just lose some part of my brain, and like my rational thinking is replaced by my some, I don't know, naivety, or how you call it, enthusiasm just for the cause, because you think that you are doing something great. And
Mm-hmm.
after when I reflect, because I'm reflecting on things all the time, you know. I sometimes have to really regulate myself not to do it too much. But I was reflecting, I was always, if someone gives me feedback, I was like, okay, let's analyze it. They told me these things, so there must be something wrong with me, right? That's the first thing that's going through my head. I'm the most critical person when it comes to me, right? Okay, you criticize me, fine, and then I will just criticize myself more. So this movement was like perfect combination that took like advantage of me being super critical about myself. And this is something that I'm working on right now for the past like 1 year and a half, because I need to be healthy. I want to continue my life and being healthy. I really want to help other people, which I'm already like partially doing. And
Yeah.
I just want to be healthy. And there is so much stuff that prevents us to have healthy brains, and we can have healthy lifestyle, exercise, sleep nicely. We don't have to abuse this body, and then we can really go and work and help people
Mm-hmm.
until we are very old. And that's nice life, when you can really function nicely in the temple, because you are so malnourished,
Yep.
sleep deprived, you don't have energy for nothing, and you are in your 50s, 60s, and the people, they look so sick, they have so many different mental illnesses, problems with their body, they are like walking corpses, and they are like, oh, I'm not this body, you know, and it's my karma, it's okay. And you just want to hug them and be like, you don't have to suffer. Honestly, if I like, my motto right now is, we can be happy, we choose happiness.
Yep.
You don't have to suffer, there is no need for us to suffer. God doesn't enjoy it, people around you don't enjoy it, and your body don't enjoy it. So yeah, I guess like that's my like final thought. I think.
So I can't imagine what it would be like to go through something like what you went through. And you're just really, really strong. And you seem very, I don't know, you're just really cool about it. Like even telling your
Yeah.
story here, you're able to tell the story. And I think you're gonna be okay. I think if you just keep on going on this journey of kind of deconstructing yourself, which is what I think you're kind of doing right now, you know, trying to really find out who you are, like you said, without all this other stuff. If you just keep on doing that and you live by your motto, I think you're going to be all right. I think you're going to do it.
Thank you. I hope so. I wish that it's not easy, you know. Sometimes I have like, you know, these depressions, like I'm autistic with depressions, so it's like sometimes it
Yeah.
hits you, and then you have to function anyway. At least like I think like my strength, it's my determination. It
Mm-hmm.
really like helped me in my life just to have certain goals that I want to, go towards, even though I'm sometimes thinking that maybe even they will not happen, but it keeps me going. And this goal just being healthy again and helping people is really like my biggest motivation. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously I want to live what I preach. And I think that's what we all should do. If we preach something, we should live it. Like if you, especially I think in religions, like if they really like preach, they should believe it. And if love and all those amazing things are part of the philosophy, we should embody that part of philosophy. I think so. And that's how they can be maybe some inspiration for others. I believe that, honestly.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you
I
so
think
much for coming and for sharing that with me. I feel very honored that you came to share your story with me. I think it's very important because, like, I have a lot of friends that live in Europe. I have a lot of
Mhm.
friends out in the UK area. I'm in Canada. And in our areas, this is a very, very socially accepted
Oh,
religion.
really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not just in India, it's also like very, very common. And I don't think people actually know what it is. Because, like you said, from the outside,
Mhm.
it's very different than once you actually join, as is the case with all cults, right? As once you finally join and you really start doing everything, and then you're there going, this isn't at all what I was doing at the beginning. Like something changed along the way, and so people just seem to come and look at Hare Krishna like, oh, what a nice Indian religion. Oh, pretty temple. Oh, they have a restaurant. And they don't realize that behind all of that is actually this really crazy system that has taken over a lot of India and even Europe, like I said, and is actually kind of abusive,
It
very
is.
controlling, and leaves people like people aren't happy that are in this. You can tell. I've seen a lot of the videos of the bus, like with the people singing on the bus that are driving around to sell books.
Janado Yuktasya Bhaktam Shani Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam.
Yeah.
Or to preach, because they do a lot of that too. I've seen a lot of like the farms that they have,
Farm
and
projects, they are the biggest like honey, for the bees attracted. Is like, yeah, farm projects, ecological projects. That's the best thing right now. Escape from the city, and you can be here, help us during the
yeah,
day, have lovely food, and we sing together, and that's how it's presented. And
right.
it's unfortunately true. That's how it is. Yeah. France, the middle of Europe, and stuff, like people are leaving or at least not joining. I don't know almost nobody that would really join fully in these past few years. I remember the year I came, a lot of people came, and after that I didn't see people coming at all. And I was thinking, why is that? But I don't know, the period back then shift, and in those few years I see a lot of people speaking about it on the street, and in the videos, and like in the temple, and people, they are interested. I have few friends that are practicing different branch of Vaishnavism, coming to the ISKCON temple thinking, I'm practicing something else, and here is kirtan, because kirtan is something very appealing, right? And and all of us are devotees, and I can see there is something wrong. That's why I'm not live here. But
Mhm.
kirtan is amazing, so I want to join the kirtan. The problem is that when you are supporting something, that's the problem. You already are part of the group, and you are spreading the wrong message of like yeah, it's amazing. And
Mm.
there can be aspects that are great and amazing, the meditation, kirtan, and food, and maybe
Right.
some genuine friendship here and there. But it can be found anywhere if you really just put effort. I'm climbing right now. It has so many amazing moments, and there is a lot of people you can just speak to and become friends. And it's like there can be amazing moments in anything if you put your consciousness, mindset, and effort. You don't need spiritual community to provide only those things. But I feel like
Right.
worldwidely we have this perception that it can be only found in like religion community and spiritual
Right.
community. No, you have to escape the world to find something like great, and where is the better place than just some spiritual community? And there are many,
Well,
many,
nobody
many.
says I want to join a cult,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't know your journey, especially
right?
because
That's how you
we are
join
not
a
a cult.
political movement. You join a support group. You
Yeah.
join a community. You join, like, I could go on and on and on, right? And I keep trying to explain to people that doesn't matter what community you're a part of. If it starts to act and take on some of these things like these cult tactics and starts
Yeah.
to control people, it will end up a cult.
Yeah.
At that point, it's inevitable,
Yeah.
right? It's the system and the hierarchy and these tactics that kind of all come together that create the cult, and that takes a good community, something that is very positive and maybe has not much negativity about it at all, and just rip it into
Yeah.
Jonestown.
Exactly.
Like
It's very
Jonestown
tricky.
didn't start,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
none of them start off being like, "Oh, we abuse kids and we're gonna drink
No,
the
no. All
Kool-Aid."
those
And
things, those blooped devotees, they did it. They were not having the right faith in God and whatnot. And they don't realize maybe it's because you having sick brain. Like literally, there are so many studies about how you just can get the sick brain out of all those practices that you're doing, and then you wonder why you are doing horrible stuff later on because you just damage your brain. It's
right,
just not a thing. And yeah, the whole caring culture, mental health prevention not there, taking care of people and their psychology. It's not, it's because that's all material, that's beyond just chant. That's all you need.
right.
That's the biggest medicine. I'm sorry, I was chanting a lot and I become very sick. I don't know, but since I'm not there, I'm not chanting. I'm finally on track. My body is much better. I'm not even on my ankylosing spondylitis medication right now because my brain is so strong. I have a pain, but I can like keep with it. And
Awesome.
yeah, and I started climbing 1 month ago because finally my body functions. I could not exercise
Right.
for this past
After
3 years.
being malnourished as well
Yeah.
for a while, like that can really mess with everything, right?
Yeah. The whole we are not this body, we are not this body. You're literally dissociating yourself from the body so much that it doesn't matter if you don't have finger or hand or if you are sick because in your mind it's like I have nothing to do with it.
It's just a meat suit. There's
Yeah.
no connection to it, right? You're just borrowing it for this
Yeah.
lifetime, sort of thing.
And of course, a lot of people would argue, oh, but it's not, you are saying it in this like mocking way. But no, that's the reality. Like, you always meet some devotee and you are like, oh, I didn't sleep, I'm super tired. But I will chant over it. I'm not this body, forever, I'm not this body. That's all the time the conversation that you have. It's my karma, I'm not this body, I'm making offenses. Like, you remind yourself all the time those things until that now when
Right.
you think about it, you are like just a bunch of crazies. Just talk about these things, like how this is supposed to be normal. The whole thing is being connected to God, be happy, sharing like our realization about spiritual life, and you never do it. And how you want to have some positive realization when you literally hate the whole world, everybody, your family, your friends, they don't get it. They are demons, they are karmis, and all these other religion that worship God, they don't get it because we have the ultimate truth, and they don't have it because we just
Right.
have it. It's secret. It's something that you cannot achieve, and
You're in
I
this elite group now.
yeah, you just create all this illusion that you only get it. It's so
Mm.
arrogant just to think that. I had my grandfather, for example. I would like to say something. He's not here anymore. He died a few years ago, but he was scientist, and he dedicated his life into worshiping God. He was Christian, and he wrote the most amazing poems about God all the time, and essays, and he really loved God, and he was super loving person. Everybody loved him. When he died, he had a ceremony in the church, and so many people came, like at least 300 people. I didn't even know that he's so well known. And he loved God. Like, he was only speaking about him. He was Christian. Imagine to tell him, like, you don't get it. You are a demon because you don't sing Hare Krishna's name.
Mm.
It's such a horrible thing, honestly. Like, he loved God. Like, I don't even know. I don't love God like he does. His mission was proving God by science. If there is really
Okay.
reincarnation, and he is somewhere else, I just hope that that's what he's doing in his next life, if he's not with God, or I don't know, somewhere. Because that was inspiring, and that's what I want to carry. Like, we should spread love, like, really. And it doesn't matter, black, white, this, Muslim, whatnot. To me,
Right.
if essential of all of the religion is loving God. And how you can love God if you don't love people around you? Because God loves people, he loves us. And
Mm.
then you just go and you are like, this is demon, he's disgusting, he's this.
Mm.
Uh, it will just create hate, and that's what we're spreading, and that's very sad world after.
And you're thinking, if I'm going to sacrifice everything for this God, he better be a moral God, a God with good values, a God that's more about love than how much you chanted Hare Krishna today.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And even if you don't believe in God, I don't care. It's like, we can be good people, we can help each other, we can uplift each other. We don't have to go and hate on each other all the time. Honestly, that's not what I want to live. I don't want to live like that. I want to live and see other people, as like, gift to this earth, and support each other. Like, you do some work and you are a hardworking person, that is hardworking person. And if we are depressed and doing drugs, and we can help each other, there are programs. I don't have money right now, but we are always talking about, like, doing some projects for people later on, if we ever, like, have some fundings, like, to help one another. Like, just what is in your power to do, even if
Mhm.
it's little bit, even if it's just giving smile on the street. Like, a few times I went, like, I try to practice this on my own, and it's
Yep.
unbelievable when you just smile, how many people look at you and smile back. And
Right.
there is all those people, like, oh yeah, this positivity and blah, blah. And then I was like, okay, I want to try it. This is the least thing I can do. I can just try it. And I don't have good day every day, but sometimes it just occurs to me, I do it, and then I just remember those people's faces. And it's very nice feeling inside of the heart, that there is, like, amazing, feeling about it. And
I am glad that this didn't change you. I am glad, because I've had a lot of people, you can get bitter after this, after going through a situation like this. You can say, I don't want to help people anymore. I tried helping people, and then look at what I ended up being a part of. And I just spent sacrificing myself for years to help people. And, now I want to go off and fuck people, basically. But it's
yeah.
nice to see, that you haven't let it change your view. You're still out here, like, No, we can still help everybody.
We can. I'm not saying that I was not in my angry period 6 months ago when I was like angry on everybody. But it's part of the PTSD when you have all those
It is a
stages.
grieving process.
Yeah, there's the grieving
It's
process.
very much a grieving process where you go through the stages of grief, like anger and stuff, because you are grieving the person that you were when you were.
But you can overcome it. It's very like I'm like I was thinking I will at that time I was thinking I would not overcome it. I was like I don't know how to get out of that. And then you just do you wake up every day and you try your best and you remind yourself you are doing your best and you do step by step. And of course my friend helped me, my husband. I start speaking about it a lot. And then it was like step by step, and it's up to us. Sometimes it's very difficult to do it very fast, but I have experience because I was doing it when I was 20 and before joining. So I just kind of like came back to who I was and put new layers on top of it, and just discovering who I can be. And I don't know, it will be a journey, right?
Well, she's pretty cool so far. I like who you are so far, and I think you can just keep going. But I want to
Yes,
thank
me too.
you.
But I was so happy to speak to you. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I think it's really important that people not only hear your story, but kind of see that, you don't have to be bitter after you leave one of these things, that there is recovery on the other side as long as you work at it. It takes some work, but you just got to keep going, which is basically how you sum this up at the end, which is just beautiful. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an awesome day.
Thank you
You're a
too.
breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
I think
Have a
everybody's
nice
going to
day.
love you. Dagmar, it was a pleasure meeting you. Through our conversation, I saw a resilient, strong woman who is taking all the right steps to recovering after this experience. I am so glad you found your husband and you have each other as a good support system to lean on, and I wish nothing but happiness for the both of you. Thank you again for sharing your story with us. I know it will help other people. Please send her some love in the comments below. It can be quite nerve-wracking to share your story, and we want to create a community where survivors feel safe. Dagmar's story is more than a memory. It's a warning. The Hare Krishna movement presents itself as spiritual refuge. But behind the chants and colors are patterns of control, exploitation, and harm. This cult thrives on silence and secrecy. By speaking out, Dagmar breaks the silence that Hare Krishna depends on. These are not isolated experiences. They are part of a larger pattern of manipulation and abuse. Today, the Hare Krishna movement claims nearly 1 million members worldwide, with hundreds of temples across the globe. Behind those numbers are countless untold stories of devotion, but also of disillusionment, control, and harm. By amplifying survivor voices, we can dismantle the myths and hold harmful groups accountable. Please share this video, start conversations, and stand with those who are still finding their way out. Stay skeptical and stay safe, and I'll see you all really soon with another one. And remember, the truth is always stronger than the illusion.
I could not understand how it's possible that someone will do it, and then I did it.